Welcome back to Plant Etc. Today we're racing to the finish line with all our planting. May is the time in the garden where we sprint to the finish line. Everything falls into place. Ready, set, go! May is the time of month where you get ready to plant out your tomatoes, your basil, your pepper, and your eggplant. These are the seedlings that you started way back in February or March. You kept them growing under your grow lights or on your windowsill. Now they are big and strong and they are ready to be set free in your garden. That is already your first sign of success. You managed to keep those little seedlings alive for quite a few months. And now they are going to flourish in your garden and give you a bountiful summer harvest. Now that you are ready to plant your peppers, your tomatoes, your basil, and your eggplants outside, you're going to have to do a few things. You're going to have to enrich your soil with some great compost. If you have some compost that you made yourself in your garden, it's time to mix some of it on top of your soil. You don't have to go in too deep. Just 2 or 3 inches, add some compost, mix it into the soil before you start planting. If you don't have your own compost, of course, you can buy some at the store. There's nothing wrong with buying some good organic bag compost to add to enrich your soil and to make sure that your plants start on the right step. So just mix it into the soil, like I say, just for a few inches, nothing too deep, and then you'll be able to get ready to plant your tomatoes, your peppers, your eggplant, and your basil. That will be a great start to your plants and to your season. Now you are ready to plant. Dig a hole 3 to 4 inches deep. Plant your tomatoes as deep as you can. You will see your tomatoes will produce roots along the stem. For your peppers, just plant them as deep as they came out of the container, not too much. Make sure the soil is nice and tight around your plants and add some water. If you have some fertilizer, add a little bit of fertilizer. If when you were planting and digging the hole, if the soil was very dry, just add a lot of water to the soil before transplanting. That will really help your plants. If you have fertilizer on hand, that is great. After you've planted everything, add a little bit of fertilizer. If you don't have any, you can make yourself a quick fertilizer just by mixing some compost and some water and letting it sit overnight and then using that to water your plants. In addition, the great thing you could do is to also mulch. Add some wood chips to the top of the ground or some leaves. If you saved some from last year, that will really help you save some water for the hot season. Now that you're going to be planting, make sure you watch out for the temperature before you put anything in the ground. Check the weather before you do anything. Check the soil warmth also. You can use a thermometer to make sure that the soil that you're going to be planting it is warm enough to accept your plants. Remember, the month of May can hide some pretty nasty little surprises. Sometimes we get hail, sometimes we get snow just at the last minute. And if you don't watch for the weather and your plants are outside and they're not covered, they will die. And all the hard work that you put through during the winter to keep those little seedlings going will be in vain. Everything will die. Now what you should be doing is to make sure after you've planted your tomatoes, your peppers, your eggplant, or your basil, that you cover them up. You can use a plastic hoop house. You can also use some coverall that will keep some of the heat for you, so that will protect them. If you have a greenhouse or a tunnel, a polytunnel, you are golden. That would be a perfect place to put your tomatoes and your peppers. But if you don't, just use a few rows of plastic to cover them up. Make sure they're not touching the leaves of the plants too much. Use whatever you have, but try to keep them warm. Once the temperature is at least 10 degrees in the evening, you are good to go. If you keep that consistency of at least 10 degrees in the evening, your plants will survive and they will thrive and then provide you with some great bounty again over the summertime. Everyone should grow sunflowers. They are so beautiful. Sunflowers are so easy to grow. If you're a new gardener, definitely give them a chance. And if you've gardened before, add them to your garden again. They are great at attracting pollinators. Now, to get them going, just start them in a few pots. You can add a few seeds in a pot, very easy, or direct seed them in the garden. Sunflowers will even take a little bit of neglect. If you forget to water them, don't worry about it. Now, there's one thing you probably didn't know. Sunflowers have a great ability of tracking the sun. They actually move from east to west throughout the day. Isn't that an interesting behavior from a plant? Wow. Now, the other thing sunflowers do is that they have a big root system. They are the giants of the garden after all. So by that, they penetrate the soil and help with drainage. Wow, you know, lots of secrets with the sunflowers. The other thing they do is, of course, they attract the pollinators, and we all know we need the pollinators in the garden if we want to get some nice tomatoes, some nice peppers, or any other kind of fruit. I know we keep talking about things to plant, but there is one more thing you can start right now in May. That is your sweet potato slips. So sweet potatoes are not grown like regular potatoes. You don't just plant the whole thing and then you get tubers. In the case of sweet potatoes, you have to start them either in water. You basically just cut a sweet potato in half and put it in water, and then you'll have these little slips, these little branches kind of come out. You can also, if you live in a warm area, you could plant a sweet potato, and then take the slips. What you have to do is once the little slips are 2 to 3 inches tall, you will gently separate them from the main potato and then plant the slips. The slips will generate the sweet potatoes. So there's lots of varieties of sweet potatoes out there. Just buy something and then start it either in water or cover them in soil with some vermiculite. That's how I did mine this year. And then once you see the slips, separate it gently, like I said, and then plant that in the ground. And no need to rush with sweet potatoes. You don't need to put them out until it's really hot. Just like peppers and tomatoes, they like it even hotter. So it needs to be very warm. So usually I put mine in the ground in July. First week of July, put your sweet potatoes in the ground, and you should be able to harvest them just before Halloween, just before you have to plant your garlic. That'll be perfect timing for you to harvest your sweet potatoes. Make sure you get them out of the ground before your first frost. That is the most important part. Enjoy! Happy gardening! Enjoy your time. This is the crazy time of the month. It is May. Get going, get it done. You are at the finish line and you've done it.